Hi guys, it's Richard Haggerty here. I hope you're keeping really well. So, I really wanted to dive into this idea of why boredom leads to anxiety and smoking addiction. Because this is really crucial. Once you get this, you are going to be able to break the habit of smoking for good. Okay, so I want to sort of teach. I want to just outline this now because it's been one of the most important parts of working with clients over the last couple of decades. These psychological triggers, in fact, internal and external triggers, recognizing them, and this is being verified by some recent research. So I just want to take a little bit of time to dive into that now for you. Okay. The basic research is this, and it's become very, very clear now from a recent study of almost 500 people in Spain that boredom indirectly leads to a person smoking or not being able to quit, shall we say. Okay, so if you're already smoking and you're getting bored regularly, indirectly it causes you to not quit or not statistically it'll basically mean that you'll fall off the wagon and start smoking again. Why is that? Why indirectly? Because boredom unchecked snowballs into anxiety, and for people who already have a propensity to smoke, that anxiety tends to be a stronger trigger to go and smoke, and this will happen very, very quickly. All right, this snowball, just so you understand, when I work with clients, they can go from bored to anxiety to finding a cigarette in their hands. I mean, that can happen in a matter of seconds. All right. The unconscious drive causes people to smoke and to choose that habit very, very quickly and easily. All right. And that's, of course, why people come to find someone, a stop smoking expert, to help them break that habit. But I want to give you the steps so that you can start to do this now, okay? The easiest way to think about this is that there are triggers to the smoking habit, whether it's vaping, whether it is smoking cannabis, whether it's smoking cigarettes or e-cigarettes. The basic mechanism is the same. There'll be two types of triggers that drive the behavior. There are the external triggers, for instance, time and particular things that happen during the day, waking up first thing in the morning, after breakfast, after a cup of coffee, after a meal, in a lunch break. Right, these are kind of typical classic times when unconsciously someone looks at the clock and they just kind of say to themselves, oh, it's time to relax, or it's time to go for a break. All right, and that's how they've learned to do it. Okay, now think about it. If you're feeling and telling yourself it's time for a break, then that's also speaking to the internal trigger, which is, oh, I'm feeling some pressure inside, this habit is going to relieve it. Now, of course, you know that's not true, because what do most smokers want to do? They want to quit smoking because they live with regret. They're feeling regretful during the day. Why am I doing this? When am I going to do this? I can't tell you the number of smokers who say to me, I hate smoking, I hate every puff of it, and yet they still do it. Okay? So, and I'm still waiting, by the way, for my first smoker to tell me, you know what? I'm an antisocial smoker. People always like to come and tell me, oh, I'm a social smoker. No, you're an antisocial smoker. And that's why you want to break it. That's why you're feeling that regret. That's why you've been feeling this pressure. Okay, now, we've got those external triggers. The internal triggers are the subtle emotions that trigger the actual behavior. Okay, so it might start with something external, but it's the internal pressure that's going to drive that. Okay, and boredom is this very subtle inner feeling. It can be as subtle as a feeling of incompleteness, emptiness, not knowing where to go, feeling mildly tired or dissatisfied, having completed something, and just wanting to deal with that extra energy. And that boredom is the feeling that unchecked will snowball into anxiety and other emotions and can lead to people falling off the wagon with their desire to stop smoking. It's what we call a chain of emotion, okay, or a chain of internal states. And the key is this: small impulses that are unchecked will snowball into bigger results later on, okay? And if you want to change this, all you have to start doing is recognizing the external triggers and the internal triggers, all right? The external ones you can probably do very, very quickly, all right? It's a typical day when things are happening. And I would recommend writing those down on a piece of paper, okay? These are the times of day that I do it. These are the triggers, because later on you'll be able to start, you'll have some very specific moments when your body is conditioned to experience these inner states, these inner change. And you'll be able to see, you'll be able to observe for yourself. You'll be able to use a heightened awareness to be able to notice when it's about to start. And you'll be able to observe it with a heightened awareness, which is really going to start pushing you along the route to making a change so you can quit smoking for good. All right. And here's the basic principle. The reason this is so powerful, the reason it's worthwhile starting off with the external triggers to stopping smoking is that, and listing them down, is it makes it a lot easier for you to know when your body is conditioned to feel the inner feelings, the inner triggers, and for you to be able to capture it. And what you'll probably find is that it starts off with something small. It could be, you might want to label it boredom, you might want to call it like a mild anxiety. It doesn't really matter the exact label that you want to give to it, but honestly, it'll tend to start small and then it will snowball. All right. It may even be just like an inner feeling of a fear of missing out or looking around for something interesting to do. All right. We're just using this kind of like overall kind of idea of boredom. But here's the key. What you notice and sit with, you can transform. So if you can notice something going on inside you, if you can sit with it, if you can observe it, if you can observe that feeling, whereabouts in your body are you feeling it? Is it more in your tummy, solar plexus? Is it more in your head? If you can become aware of where that feeling is, maybe that feeling even has a color. Maybe that's even helpful for you to conceptualize like that. But the moment that you start to become aware of that, that really is the essence of what we're going to be transforming, okay? And by the way, that's the essence of transforming almost any problem, okay? There's a trigger, a set of triggers externally and internally that have been automatically keeping that habit going, okay? So the easiest way to break that is to start to recognize when it's happening and then use that opportunity to get really curious. And when it starts to happen, just even sit there for a moment and start to observe whereabouts in my body is this feeling starting, and what am I saying to myself just before I get the strong impulse to reach to smoke. And that will really, really start to move you in that direction, okay? Because otherwise, boredom tends to lead to anxiety and smoking addiction, because this inner chain of states is like, it's like a set of dominoes. One happens and then whoosh, very, very quickly that happens. All right. So we need to start to take out some of those dominoes. So there's nothing to get that going. There's nothing to keep that going. Okay. And increased awareness is really going to help you with this, because what you notice and what you can sit with and observe, you gain the power to transform. And it's noticing that inner feeling that we're calling boredom, that inner state of boredom, and being able to sit with it will start you absolutely on the path to breaking smoking habit, whatever that is. So thank you very much for today. I'm Richard Haggerty, and I will see you on the next video.